Yeah, obviously James is a dear friend of mine that goes beyond the game of football. A relationship that's been developed since we were in college, and you know, once the game starts. You're not going to be worried about a friendship or anything like that. We both have jobs to do, but again, our families are pretty close, and we will forever be close friends regardless of what happens here in this game. Yeah. How are you?
Two things. What do you learn from defending these guys from watching the Michigan game in particular? And how do you defend Jeremiah?
There's not just one thing you can do to defend Jeremiah Smith. He's one of the best receivers I've ever seen in the college football game at a young age. He's a dynamic football player. He's physically a big presence, but he can run and he can catch. And so you're going to have to do some different things to try to keep him off balance, but also keep the rhythm of the quarterback off balance. But the other part of that is we got good players too. We got to do what we do, and we're going to trust our guys to, get the job done no matter what we call defensively. I still believe strongly you have to stop the run. We got to do some things defensively to make sure we can stop the run, and we got to be really good in the red zone. That's going to be something we have to be, is really good in the red zone. And then we just got to, do some things to make the quarterback try to think and not keep him in rhythm. So it'll be a difficult challenge, but we're looking forward to it.
Were those things that you mentioned things that you saw from Michigan in particular, or just overall things? I didn't know if there was something in the Michigan game that they did that stood out.
Yeah, I think that, there's some things that happened in the Michigan game that, Michigan did really well, and Ohio State maybe didn't do so well. But what you can't do is look at another team's defense and say, this is what we're going to do. You have to do what your team currently does really well. And that's the nature of the game. Any coach that tells you they just followed somebody else's plan, it's probably not going to be that successful. We got to make sure that we can take some ideas from what other teams have done to have success, but really implement them based off how they fit within our system. Yeah, I grew up a wrestling fan, and he came in the year after I got to Ohio State, and when I found out the son of the animal was coming in, I was a fan. I was a wrestling fan, and then we did go to a lot of WrestleManias together. I can't remember how many, but now my kids are fans. So if we can get to a wrestling event, and I can take my kids there, we try to. We went to one in Chicago. I can't remember when it was, a couple months ago. It might have been before the season, but we went to a Friday night SmackDown event in Chicago.
What do you like about wrestling? What got you into it?
I grew up watching. I liked it. I don't know, the characters. I think at different phases you enjoy different things. When I was young, everything was real. You ended up idolizing the Hulk Hogans and Ultimate Warriors and all those guys. And then as I got to go to some WrestleManias with James, you got to know some of the people. And now it's about seeing your kids happy. And if my kids want to go see wrestling, as a father, I would try to do that. Notre Dame has always been a national brand. I can't tell you I don't know how many Notre Dame fans I knew growing up in Dayton, Ohio. There's probably a lot at some of the private Catholic schools. And I don't know if it's growing. I'm not back in Ohio. I live in South Bend, Indiana. So the Notre Dame fans, Notre Dame network is national. It's worldwide. But I don't know if it's growing in Ohio or not. can't hear it.
You stay humble. How do you keep the guys humble?
Oh, yeah. And then the part 2 was what? What's on my playlist? Okay. As far as how do you keep yourself humble, I think the reality is when you realize you don't get to this point by yourself, it's easy to be humble. When you realize that it takes everybody in this program to get their job done for us to be in a situation, it's easy to stay humble. And that's the reality of this football program. We understand this is not about one person. It isn't about one player. It's about all of us getting our job done. What's on my playlist? It depends on what day. It depends on what type of mood I am. I'm not a huge music person. I'm a podcast guy. Things that help me really get my mind to a place it needs to be for that day. But it's a little bit of everything. I'm a melting pot, right? That's the reality of what I need that day. Downs, yeah. He's dynamic. We recruited Caleb before he went to Alabama, and I've followed him just because he's a great young person, has a great family, and he's never out of position. That's the thing about Caleb. Like, he's never out of position. He plays the game under control, and he's a really good tackler, but he sees the game in a way that puts himself in positions to always make the play that he has to. And so, he plays big, right? Physically, he might not be the biggest, but he plays the game big, and you got to know where he's at all times. You know what? I've been blessed to have a lot of great mentors and a lot of great people around me to help me grow. And I think about my time growing up in Huber Heights, Ohio, and the many coaches and mentors and teachers that all had a part of me developing my foundation as a person. And my parents, obviously, my brother, and then as I went to college and so forth. But Dayton, Ohio is always going to be a special place to me. Obviously, my parents still live there, but the foundation of who I am as a person was developed in Huber Heights. So there's a lot of people that get thank yous for putting me in the situation I'm in now.
We're talking to Pittsburgh Street and a lot of our viewers. They're torn. They love Ohio State. You're the hometown kid. For fans in Dayton, Ohio, they don't know who to cheer for this weekend. Can you help them out a little bit?
Listen, I got a job to do to make sure this group is ready. You cheer for us, or you don't. It is what it is. No hard feelings, but my focus on making sure this team is ready to perform on Monday. And for all those that are cheering for us, we appreciate it. Yeah, we've been working Charles Jagasaw at the left tackle, but also played some guard. We have an idea of what we're going to do starting on Monday, but, it's something I think we could wait till Monday to just say this is exactly what we're going to do. But he's been playing a lot of left tackle and playing some guard too. Good, how are you?
Saying kind of two-part here about the faith that this team has and the fact that they share it so publicly, and then secondly, just what Riley has done to lead this team since he came here.
Well, I think, being at the University of Notre Dame, it's a place where growing your faith is encouraged. And it's not only in Catholicism, it's the reality of you having a faith and a belief in something bigger than yourself. And that's something that we talk about amongst our football program. We have Mass, we have our team chaplain, we have, it is promoted, and our players have Bible study and different things like that. And so, I have a strong faith, and there's often times we talk about you have to trust beyond having evidence, trust beyond knowing, which is another motto for having faith. And so we're not shy about it. They're not shy about it. And it's important for us. And each individual makes his own decision on how he wants to discuss it or grow in it or any type of thing like that. But Riley's been huge for us as a leader, as a football player, as a competitor. He is a great young man, but he's a great competitor and a guy that's been continuously improving from the time he's gotten here. And that's difficult when you have high expectations the minute you step on campus, but he's kept a level head. He's put the work in. He's doing great things.
This one, Coach, when you were at Ohio State, were you, now this is the thing about coaching wise, was that when it initially kind of popped in your head, like about maybe a future in coaching? And
Nope.
Okay, well,
Nope.
when did that happen?
It happened when I was in the NFL. When I was in college, I wanted to be an athletic director. I studied sports management, and I actually GA'd my last year under Gene Smith and Pat Chun in the sports administration field. And then when I was in the NFL and I figured out that I wasn't going to be able to play anymore, that's when I talked with Coach Tressel about the possibility of getting into coaching. And I didn't know what coaching was when I got into it. I thought it was a chance to stay in football, be on the sidelines, but it's so much more than that. And I figured out early in my career, coaching is about leading people. It's about serving others, and that's how you fall in love with it. Asian? Yeah, we have Charles Du, who's Chinese. Jordan Botello, who's half Hawaiian, half Korean. Haitian. I don't know. I don't know if I don't want to speak wrongly. I know we have I don't know if they're Haitian. He's been great. RJ doesn't speak a lot, but he works his tail off, and at the biggest moments, he's shown up. And he's a big reason why we're in this position. And he's been doing a great job for our defense, making big plays. You look at the play he made versus Georgia. We're going to need him to play big versus Ohio State to have success. Mm-hmm. First question about us being here previously. By the time we get to Monday, both teams will have 2 days that they could practice in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So I don't think it's going to be an advantage. We're going to be on the opposite side of the field than we were when we were here. And so is it an advantage for us? No, I don't think so. I think both teams will be comfortable with where they are. It's the team that can handle everything outside of the game and keep that in perspective and get their job done. Second part of your question was again?
Yes. So what does it mean to you coming here, Martin Luther King holiday, and the storyline about you being first has really kind of been secondary. It's really been more about Martin Luther King and what he's done as a coach. So what does that mean for us to be in that season where even though you're first, the storyline is still about you being a head coach of one of the great franchises of all time?
Yeah. That was a two-parter of your second question. I know the second part, but the first.
Yeah, I really, that question is probably better suited for your parents.
Yeah, but I remember that part. Oh, MLK Day. Right. Yeah. you know, what I don't want to do is lump the national championship game with what Dr. King has done for our country. Like, January 20th, MLK Day, is about celebrating the life of Dr. King and the impact he's made on our country. And none of that light should be taken away by this national championship game. You know, the example he set for so many others of not only to talk about the beliefs you have, but to actually put those beliefs into action and to make change and to fight for what you believe in, is a legacy that I hope to follow and every person in our program follows. And no matter what the color of your skin is, the example he set for Americans, I think, is tremendous. As far as the attention being on this football game and not me being the first, I think it's great, because when you start putting the focus on me being the first African American or me being the first Asian American coaching this game, that takes away from the team. And I wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for the team and everybody getting their job done. And so I know that's what the media or perception has to be. There has to be a person or cause and effect for why we're in this position. But the reality is it's everybody. It's everybody in this program getting their job done. And so I like to make sure the focus stays on the team and not just one person. Pat Wood? How do you know Pat Wood? So you must be from Dayton, huh? Yeah. Coach Wood was my first defensive coordinator, linebackers coach when I was at Huber Heights, Wayne. And it's crazy, he was a huge Notre Dame fan. But I couldn't act the way he acts. He acted now, or I wouldn't have a job. But the impact he made on my life and who I am as a coach is tremendous. I mean, there's times I laugh that guy. I mean, I got stories for days about Pat Wood, but I still think about him to this day. I try to make him proud. Sometimes there's thoughts in my head of trying to make him proud, but he's had a huge impact on my life. Keep a steady hand. He didn't do a great job at that back when I was young. It's awesome. No. The only difference about this game is that my mom and my dad are going to be there, which they haven't been to many games, and I thought it was great that they made the decision to want to come down here. I didn't know if my dad was really going to come, but he said he wanted to come, and so I won't see him. They'll be in the box or somewhere, but you know, the normal. My wife and the kids, my brother and his wife, and that's probably about it. So. Well. Yeah. I think at Notre Dame, it's a small community. And what you do is you become support system fans of those other coaches, not just Coach Ivey, but all of them. Coach Shrewsbury. There's many coaches that I've become close with. But I think it's encouraged because of how small the school is, 8,500 kids. You get to see everybody. But sometimes only coaches know what coaches go through. And, you know, if I can text her after a big win, I do. But more than anything, I make sure to reach out to her after a difficult loss, because sometimes you just need to hear, it's going to be all right, get better. I remember we were flying home from USC, and they had just lost in some type of tournament to start the year, and I remember saying, they're looking at you more now than they ever have, and so pick your head up, let's go back to work. But it's great to have that type of relationship with people that understand what you're going through as the head coach of a program. Yeah. Yeah, he's progressing exactly the way we thought, in the right way. He practiced yesterday, pretty much the majority of the practice. The first time he's really done that in the last couple of days, and so as long as there's no setbacks, he's progressing in a way that we think he'll be able to go full go on Monday. Yep. Yeah, well, we've often said the best recruiting we can do is keep winning. That's the reality of it, right? This is going to be the best recruiting we can do because lights are on our program, and that's great for parents and high school recruits to see. But we also have a great recruiting department. Chad Bowden, who is our general manager, and his department has been on the road in high schools, getting transcripts, talking to coaches, and figuring out the character of high school prospects. So we're not sitting back and not being on the road recruiting. We're just having other people in our program do it. We have two females, which I think it's great to put the spotlight on. Zaire Turner, who is she's on the road recruiting, and Rebecca Seitz. So two women that are in our recruiting department are actually on the road recruiting in high schools, and I think that's amazing because one, they do a great job at the roles, but two, you're not going to see many women recruiting in high schools and scouting and doing those things. So I think it's great for the growth of recruiting departments, but the growth of women in football. Penn State might have been a breakout moment for outsiders to see, but that's Jaden Greathouse. Every day he's been in our program. I've often talked about playing the wide receiver position is one of the most unselfish things you can do because you can do everything right, you can be perfect, and not get the production to coincide with what you do and running your routes. But we make sure to point out how well you do on that play, no matter if you get the ball or not, or no matter if you get the individual praise or not. And so he's done that for a while in our program. He just had the production to go with it versus Penn State. His recruiting, you had to fight to get him out of Austin, Texas. And he was a kid that after a couple times of visiting our campus, he said, this is the place I want to be. And he stood strong. And he had a lot of people pulling at him, even after he got to Notre Dame, But he is a great, great kid, and we're grateful to have him in our program. I think he is he's elite at making good decisions. He's got a good arm, and he can extend plays with his legs, and he takes care of the football. Those are traits that any great quarterback possess, and this moment isn't too big for him. So we know he'll be ready to go on Monday, and he presents a huge challenge. In the what quarter? Yeah, the first quarter is important in every game. And you know, it's how you start, how you win the middleweight, how you finish. Like, every play is important. And having a good first quarter is a result of winning that play. And so we often talk about, people say, oh, you guys doing good in the middleweight. Well, you just got to win that play. You got to finish. How do you finish? Well, you got to win that play. And so we don't spend a lot of time saying you got to start fast. Well, yeah, everybody knows that. You got to win that first play, and then guess what? After that first play is over, you got to win a second play. So we don't try to think about an outcome. We don't think about the future. You think about this play. And if you do that enough and you do it well, you're going to start fast. You're going to win the middleweight, and you're going to finish. As far as some speech, like, there's no speech that I'm going to give that these guys understand what's at stake. And they understood what was at stake at the Orange Bowl. And maybe it was at halftime was me to remind them, do not play scared. Like, I just felt like in that first half we weren't playing with the aggressiveness that we usually play with. Now, Penn State did a really good job on both sides of the ball. But I wanted them to go out there with the mindset, listen, we're gonna attack. We're gonna be aggressive. This is what we do. We've been in this position before. You know, and it's funny because you're often tested with little tests before you get a big test. And versus USC, we were tied at half. And that was the first time we had been tied or down since we lost to Northern Illinois. And that was the first test to see, okay, how do we respond being tied at half? And then you're down 7 versus Penn State. That was the next test. And so we shown that, hey, we couldn't handle it versus Northern Illinois being down. USC, we responded well to being tied, and then we were down again against Penn State. And so there's a belief in our guys now that they know the different tests that are going to occur throughout the season that you have to pass in order to be in a situation that we're in now.
Do you really think you're going to escape without a question about the NFL? What is your interest in the Chicago Bears or head coaching job?
Heather, you know how busy we've been on preparing for this opportunity. Here's the reality is that with team success comes individual recognition. And, you know, to hear that the Bears have interest, it's humbling. It's the NFL, but it's also a reminder of with team success comes individual success. And so I have put zero thought into coaching in the NFL. All my attention has just been on getting this team prepared for every opportunity we have in front of us. So probably not the answer you're looking for, but that's the answer you're going to get.
Coach Freeman, you often refer to Riley Leonard as a fighter. The second half of the season, you guys have been on this winning streak. Is there a moment between you two where not only did the trust increase, but you realize he was willing to do it?
Yeah, there's not one moment. That's just who Riley Leonard is. He's a guy that in the most crucial moments wants the ball in his hand, and he wants to make a play, and most of the time he does. And so that's how he was raised. He's a competitor, you know, and getting a chance to talk to him and getting to know his story a little bit, you realize he's raised that way. And he's a competitor, and he's going to find a way to will us into winning.
Let's go back in time. In 2006, you were a former Ohio State player. You beat Notre Dame, reached the final, and then you lost as a favorite. What lessons did you take from that year going into this year's game on Monday? You guys are underdogs. What motivation do you guys need as an underdog to beat Ohio State?
There's zero motivation that is necessary to prepare for a national championship game. I was a kid. I was a young person. You know, that I can't go back and remember what was going through my mind, but we were playing for the national championship. And I was a part of a team, and I just wanted to do my job, and we got beat. And you know, when I think about college, and I think about the relationships, I think about the great players I had the fortune to play with. But at the end of the day, the maturity level of who I am today versus who I was back in college in 2005 or 6, it's completely different. You see things from a different perspective. And so that was in. This is now. There is nothing that I can use probably from that game that's going to really resonate with this team. This team has to make sure we focus on preparation these last 48 hours. And, when the game starts, we got to do what we've done all year, but probably do it better than we ever have. Yeah, there's some players that are on this team that weren't even in Ireland. But when I think about the Ireland experience, it was amazing. Like, I think we've all grown through experience from that point to where we are now. But I just think back to that experience in Dublin, Ireland, and that will be one of the great experiences I have as a head coach. In terms of, that was my first time being in Europe, being outside this country, and it was pretty special. It was special. Listen, that's for people above my pay grade. But, yeah, I would love the chance to go back to Dublin, Ireland and play. That was amazing.
When is the last time that you talked to Jim Tressel? He told me he's coming, he's looking forward to it. What advice has he given you about this game?
I've talked to him recently. I didn't know he was coming to the game, but we don't talk about things like that. We just talk about probably some. I'm able to ask him questions and he give me his opinion, and that's probably what's most important. Somebody that I hold very high, somebody that has experience in games like this. Somebody that can give you a perspective from a previous head coach in terms of how you performed last game. And so we talk often, but I know it's a unique situation for him, being that he is a part of Ohio State, but also a part of my life. And so I wouldn't put him in a position that he has to choose. But he's been great for me all season long. And so I'm excited for him to be here. Yeah, I think more than anything, each team has a plan to do what they do well, right? And again, we know we got to be able to run the ball and we got to be able to stop the run, or it's going to be a long day on Monday. And so that's the reality of when you talk about playing in this game, you have to do what you do well and do the things that have given your program a chance to be in a situation. So that's what we're going to do, and you have to be able to make adjustments. If your plan going into the game isn't having success, then you're insane not to make adjustments to try to give your program a better chance to succeed. And so this game will be about, hey, who has the best plan going in, but how you make adjustments in terms of having success on offense and being able to stop them defensively. Yeah, it's two different teams. You're talking about 2 years ago, their team and our team was a lot different than this year. I mean, it's a lot different than last year's team, and it's going to be a lot different than this year's team. I've told the team all week, this isn't about the past. This isn't about where I went to school. This isn't about the 2 previous games. This is about the opportunity right in front of us. And that's what you got to understand. Where this program is now and who we have, it's about putting these guys in a position to have success and do what they do well. And same thing with Ohio State. Their team this year and what they're doing right now is different than the team we played last year and 2 years ago. So the focus is on having a plan to have success offensively and defensively versus the opponent we're playing on Monday and really not focusing on the pass.
Guys from Wayne High School on each side of the game, what does it mean to kind of represent the Wayne High School?
Coach Mickens is a tremendous asset to our program, the ability to identify talent, to recruit the talent, to develop the talent. I mean, he's been a heck of a coach. He's done a lot of great things for this program, but even our time at Cincinnati together. He's a heck of a football coach. As far as where we grew up, like, I think everybody has a piece of who they are because of the way they were raised. And our 4 years at Wayne High School has a big impact on who we are as men today. And so it's a special place. It's a special place to me. There's special people there. There's teachers there. There's administration. There's coaches there that all have an impact on who I am as an individual. And so I'll always be a Wayne Warrior.
Hey, Mark, it's Tim May. I'll brag to everybody. You're also the first coach in the national championship game who called me Mr. May. I want to ask you this. What was that turn on your path that you think was the one that was key to getting you to this point? I mean, I remember the first guy I saw was Luke Fickel's introduction at Cincinnati View.
Yeah. I think, Mr. May, I don't think you can point out to one person or one situation that got me to this point. I think everybody every person that I've been a part of, Daryl Hazel and our time at Kent State in those 2 years there that we were able to win that second year, go 11-1 and go to Purdue and our 4 years at Purdue, I learned valuable lessons in terms of, I don't know, our record wasn't great. I think we won 9 games in 4 years, but I learned valuable lessons from Daryl Hazel as a leader and through some of our losses and through those players and the coaches that I was with. And then my 4 years at Cincinnati with Luke Fickell was also my position coach. The ability to take that program, I think we won 4 games our first year, and then we won double-digit games the next 4 years. His leadership, right? I mean, there's little bits and pieces that everywhere I've been have a part of who I am and why we've had success. We've had success because we have great players here that have committed to something bigger than themselves, and that's important, right? We got a whole bunch of individuals that coaches and players that say, you know what, us achieving team glory is bigger than individual recognition, and that's why we're in this position, and that's what we're going to continue to thrive to do for this opportunity, but also as we move forward.
When Brian Kelly called, did you hesitate at all, or did you just go, yeah, that's the move?
When Brian Kelly called me at Cincinnati, no, I went, I visited Notre Dame, and then I went down to LSU the following day, and it was a difficult decision, but I guess I made the right one. I can't hear you. Yeah, I remember being a recruit and coming to a Notre Dame football game and watching. I was in high school and watching the team come out of the Basilica for pregame mass, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And I remember seeing movies about it. And again, I didn't follow much of Notre Dame football until I got back, until I was hired in 2021 as a defensive coordinator. And I remember that year we didn't have pregame mass. And I think part of it had to do with COVID the year before, but we didn't have pregame mass. And then, so when I was named head coach, it was something that I had talked to the administration about when that decision was made to not have pregame mass. And what we had to do to change it, and it was something that was important to me to change that for multiple different reasons. And what was the second part? Yeah, I think more than anything, it's selflessness, like the ability to put others before yourself. I think that's one of the greatest traits humans can have, is that the ability to put somebody else in front of yourself. As I tell these guys all the time, yeah, it's going to make us a successful football team, but it's going to make you a successful husband and father and, person. If you can put others before yourself and work extremely hard, those are two traits that I believe will help you have success no matter what you're doing in life. Yeah, he's been playing left tackle in practice, a little bit of guard, and so, we'll make the final decision by Monday, but I mean, it's going in a direction we all kind of see, but he's been getting more reps at left tackle than he is at guard. Take that as you want it. Oh, yeah. Again, he was a guy that we made a joke. I was sitting in my office with his parents after he had surgery, like, hey, you're going to make it back for the playoffs, ha-ha, and all of a sudden he did, and we continued on this run to a point where he could actually help this team. Now, he was a backup going into the Orange Bowl. I mean, he was a backup, and then Knapp goes down, and then Rocco Spindler goes down, and I mean, he was huge to be able to fill in at that right guard position, and he did a great job, as well as did Tosh. And as we go into this week, now you had to make the decision what's best versus this defensive line that we're facing. But it's been great to see a guy that started the bowl game last year as our left tackle, came in with all the expectations to be our starting left tackle, tears his pec in fall camp, and then make it back for some of the most meaningful games of the season. It's amazing. Yeah, Drake did a really good job at recruiting some other players, high school recruits, and often tell our biggest recruits, like Drake was, great players want to play with great players. So if you want to play with some great players, get on the phone and start recruiting them. And so he's done a great job. He's a vocal leader even now, the same way he was in recruiting. So he's a big piece of that recruiting class that he was a part of. And life this season, but life includes pain and adversity. Life includes unpredictable things that you don't expect to happen. Your ability to handle the unpredictable things in life is what's going to determine your success. And so there's some unpredictable things that have happened in our season. There's unpredictable things that happen in a game. The ability to handle them, but also get better from them, right? Nobody thought we were going to lose in Northern Illinois. We lost. Okay? How do we handle that loss, right, and continue to move forward? But how do we learn from that loss? And I think those are all important things as you look at a football team, a football season, but also life, is that unpredictable things are going to happen. You got to be able to pick up the pieces and move forward, but also you got to be able to learn from those difficult moments. They make the choice. They make the choice every day to put the team in front of themselves. And it's not something that you can take for granted, because every day you got to make that choice. Thank you.
Every game day is
Shout out to Julio Rodriguez. That's my guy. He cuts the hair of a lot of our players, and he takes care of me. And so that's who gets the credit for that. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know exactly what my message would be. It'll be something that I usually always say, and it's about you're ready for this opportunity. Don't hold anything back and go attack and be aggressive. Like that's what you got to do. My focus right now is maximizing these 48 hours that we have from now until Monday night. Like that's, if I sit here and daydream about Monday and about what that opportunity is going to be, then we're not going to get the outcome we want, and we're going to lose this moment that we have right in front of us. And so you have today's practice, you got meetings, you got tonight, you got tomorrow. Like, so focus on this opportunity, staying in the moment that you have right in front of you. And then when Monday night comes, you got to be ready to roll. But we cannot waste valuable time of preparation just daydreaming about Monday. I said I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in God, you know. And, you know, and I'm a faithful person, so there's a part of me that feels like God has his hand in everything that goes on in life. But what you can't do is sit here and say, I'm just going to let God handle everything and not do the work, right? And that's the reality of what we focus on, is putting in the work that gives this program the best chance to have success. And that's what everybody's been committed to doing, and that's what we'll continue to do. I do not take for granted that I am a representation for many guys on this team that look like me. And I hope they can look at me and say, okay, work hard, try to do things the right way, and you're not going to be judged by the color of your skin. It's going to be by the way you work and the how you treat people. And so I want our young people to be able to look at me and say, hey, if I want to be the head coach at Notre Dame, dang it, if I work hard enough and do the right things, I got a chance to do it, because look at my head coach. The whole point of me continuing to take the attention off of me, though, and put it on the team, but also put on it Dr. King, right? Like, Martin Luther King Day is about the great legacy that Dr. King has left in our country. And I don't want to take any of that light and put it on myself, but also the national championship game. Because what Dr. King has done for our country has been tremendous. The ability not just to talk about change, but to have actions that incorporate change. He made change through his actions and his words, and the courage he has as a leader is something that I still am impacted by as I study his life. And to do it at 38 years, I mean, it's just the impact that man made in 38 years is just humbling and to even think about. And so that's what I want to make sure. Anybody that talks about me on this day, on Dr. King's Day, let's point the attention to Dr. King, the person that really made change in our country. And then as far as me being the first black or Asian head coach to be in this game, again, I am grateful. I am so grateful to represent a lot of guys, especially our players and coaches that look like me, but I'm going to make sure that the attention is turned on the team, because I'm not in this position without the team and without the other coaches getting their job done. Yep. Yeah, I explained to him when we got into the start of this week that I played in 2 of these games and I lost to both of them, and one was the U, and so those are the memories that I have of being a part of this game is losing both of them. And now I'm in a different position than I was in being a player, but that's the memory I have of both national championship games, and those aren't great memories, And so, listen, this opportunity is about this opportunity, and that's what I tell them all the time. This isn't about where I played in college. This isn't about the previous 2 games we had against Ohio State. This is about this opportunity right in front of us, and we got to stay focused on putting ourselves in a position to have success on Monday. Too gritty to be pretty. I like that. That's good. Listen, our brand of football is what this team needs to have success, right? The thing I've learned more than anything as a head coach is the plays you got to fall in love with on offense and defense are the plays and calls that your players can do well. It's not this great scheme and that you got to be able to find ways to get guys wide open or bring this exotic blitz to stop the offense. You got to be able to call things and run things that your guys do well, and that's what we do. And part of what we do is have to have a mentality of being a savage, of being aggressive and being physical and being willing to fight no matter what happened on the last play or what situations in the game. It's an attack mindset on all 3 phases, and that's what we're going to have to do on Monday. Thanks, man. That's it. Awesome. Thank you.